You're listening to the Confidence Coach Podcast, episode 72. What is confidence? And how do we become more confident today? Welcome back, guys. Today I want to talk about what is confidence. What does confidence mean to you? The other day I hosted a free confidence masterclass teaching tools, strategies, sharing personal stories, action steps to help you become a more confident individual in your personal and professional life. I sat down a few weeks ago and had to ask myself, what is confidence? And so I really wanted to find a quick way that I could teach you some of the tools, resources, and strategies that I have used to build myself up, to gain more confidence in what it is that I have to give to the world and who I am as a person. And so I put it together in a masterclass. And it is completely free to you. So I want you to go check out the full version. Today, I'm just going to go over what confidence means to me. But if you're looking for an in-depth version of what the action steps are, what resources I've used, things like that, I want you to head over to sashadavis.com/masterclass. Sign up and I will send you the masterclass free to your inbox. You can catch the full replay. And just let me know your thoughts. I'm anxious to hear. But today I really want to talk about just what is confidence? What does confidence mean to you? And so I wanted to share with you what confidence meant to me and how you can start working on these things today. First thing I want to talk about is loving yourself. And what I did and what I challenge you to do is stand in front of the mirror, either fully clothed or completely naked. I recommend completely naked because then you can see your entire body. And a lot of times we criticize our entire bodies. And I want you to become aware of how you talk to yourself. And so what I want you to do is, after you're standing in front of the mirror, you're going to say, I love you, and then your name. So for example, if it were me, I would say, I love you, Sasha. And then I want you to see what feelings come up, what emotions come up. For me, when I first did this, I wanted to break the damn mirror. I wanted to punch the mirror. I wanted to punch myself in the face. I thought I was a worthless piece of shit. I thought I was ugly. I picked apart my entire body. I hated everything about myself. And the more I did it, the easier it became. And so baby steps, what I did was start to talk to myself like I was a 5-year-old version of myself. So for example, I would envision me as a 5-year-old and how I would talk to a 5-year-old. I would say things like, Sasha, you're beautiful. Sasha, you're smart. Sasha, you are so capable. The world is your oyster. You can do hard things. You are so strong. You are so brave. You are an incredible human being. Think of your children. What would you say to them to encourage them? And that's what I did every freaking day until I started to believe it. We beat ourselves up so bad. We are our own worst critics. And I don't mean to chuckle there, but it's so true. And it's sad. It is so sad how we have conditioned ourselves to think that we're worthless or a piece of shit, or we have to have a piece of paper, somebody else to say what we're worth. I knew that I always sought outside validation. I was not worthy unless somebody told me I was worthy. I was not worthy unless I got some sort of award that said I was worthy. I wasn't worthy until I had the promotion or I had this or somebody told me I was whatever. I was always waiting on somebody else to tell me the things that I wanted to hear versus telling myself what I needed to hear. When you start to love yourself, that inner confidence starts to radiate outside of you, into your work, into your family, into your friends, into your community. And you can start to teach people to love themselves too. I say this all the time, monkey see, monkey do, and it is so true. When you start to work on yourself and love yourself for who you are, people see that and they're like, how did she do that? I want that too. And so by you showing up and loving yourself for all that you are and all that you can become, you are teaching others to do the same. You are taking a stand for yourself. And that, my friends, is loving yourself. Next, I want to talk about knowing your strengths. So many times we focus on just our weaknesses and the things that we're not good at, or that I suck at this or I suck at that. So I want you to focus on your strengths and try to do some of those things every single day. Maybe you're great at writing. Maybe you're great at speaking. Maybe you're great at emails or cooking or running or, I don't know, changing poopy diapers. Whatever it is that you're great at, whatever you are just like, hell yeah, that's my jam. I'm awesome at that. I want you to do more of those things, because when you are in your zone of genius, when you are in that area where you're in your element, you are confident. And so when you can do more things that make you feel confident, guess what? You're gonna feel more confident. It's like the building blocks, right? You just keep building it up, building it up, building it up. So I want you to list out what your strengths are. Try to come up with 10, come up with at least 5. So what I want you to write down is make a list of 5 to 10 things that you are great at, and then action steps on how you can do those things on a daily basis. And I don't mean you have to do all 10 things, all 5 things every day, but try to do at least one of those things a day, because that momentum, that confidence will continue throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your month, throughout your year. And every time you get stuck and you're like, oh man, shit's not going really well right now, I want you to go back to one of your strengths and I want you to focus on your strengths. Rebuild that confidence muscle and then go back to whatever it was that you were doing. Okay? And the next thing, this kind of leads into the next thing about knowing your strengths. So this is knowing who you are and what you want. We identify ourselves with labels, which is totally fine. I mean, it's, a lot of times I'm like, hey, I'm Sasha, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm this, I'm that. But who are you really? Think of adjectives that would describe you as a person. Not just mom, not just wife, not just woman, not just blonde. Who are you? What is the inner Sasha like? What is the inner you like? Are you brave? Are you courageous? Are you badass? Are you smart? Are you intelligent? Are you loving? Are you emotional? Are you loud? Are you fun? Are you energetic? Are you quiet? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Who are you? Who are you? And if you need some help, take some personality tests. There's a couple that I have done and I really enjoy. One is 16 personalities. I think it's at 16personalities.com. I'm not entirely sure. But if you Google 16 personalities, and then the other one is the Enneagram, do both of those personality tests and it will help you figure out who you are, what your strengths are, and what your weaknesses are. I am a sucker for a good personality test, but I think that's the psychology background coming out in me. I love to know the inner workings of the brain and why we do things the way we do things, and why we let fear or certain things hold us back, and like the limiting beliefs that we set upon ourselves. Like that stuff is my jam, which is why I developed this podcast, and which is probably why you're listening. And next, I want you to figure out, what do you want? Not what does everybody else want. What do you want? If you don't want to wake up and go to work every day, 9 to 5 at some corporate job, that's totally fine. I didn't want that either. But you can't just quit your job without a plan. What do you want? What do you want your house to look like? What do you want your day to look like? What do you want your physical self to look like? What do you want your nutrition to look like? What do you want your car to look like? What do you want your family, your vacations? What do you want? Do you just want to be able to have a cup of coffee in quiet? Do you want to have more time to exercise? Do you want to have more time to spend in nature? Do you want to have more time to be creative? What do you want? Do you want a blog? Do you want a website? Do you want to coach? Do you want to take pictures? Do you want to speak on stage? Do you want to jump out of a fucking airplane? What do you want? I'll say it one more time. What do you want? I feel like I'm in The Notebook. What do you want? What do you want? Where he's like talking to her right by the car and he's like, what do you want? That just like popped into my head. So what do you want? Next, I want you to speak your truth. So many of us have a mask on majority of the time that what we say isn't really what we feel. Sometimes what we say, we just say things to people please. Oh, I'm just going to say this because I don't want to rock the boat. Oh, I just want to say this because I don't want to upset that person. Oh, I want to say this because, or I'm not going to say this because that's the way things have always been. And I don't want to steer too far away from the path. One of the things that I posted the other day on Instagram, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, you need to head over to Sasha.Davis on Instagram. The other day I posted something that said, how are you really feeling? How are you really doing? I ask this question to people a lot. I'm like, hey, how are you? They're like, great. Life really sucks. I'm like, why would you say great if things suck right now? But we've been conditioned to just automatically, everything's fine. I don't want to admit that anything's wrong. I don't need help. I got it. Everything's cool. No worries. And it's total bullshit. So how are you really doing? How can you start to vocalize that more? How can you start to embody that more? And if you are feeling fantastic, share it. I feel fantastic. And if other people are upset by you feeling great, then that's their own shit. But then if you're not feeling too hot and you're like, I just don't know what to do with my life right now. I feel so lost. I feel unfulfilled. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing or how I ended up here. You need to talk about it. Because when you start to talk about things, you take away the power that they have over you. Think of it this way. When something is bothering you and you put it off, 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 it takes a lot of energy from you. It drains you of your energy versus if you just spoke it. Even like worst case scenarios. Sometimes if we just speak out loud what the worst case scenario is, we realize how ridiculous that sounds and the likelihood that that won't happen. And the likelihood that you would never allow that to happen. So I want you just to focus on speaking your truth. If you feel like shit today, say it. I feel like shit today, and this is how I'm going to turn it around. Or if you feel great, I want you to say it. I feel fan-fucking-tastic, and I want to pay it forward. Whatever you do, speak your truth. And if you don't have a safe place to speak your truth, or you're like, I have no idea where to even start, message me. Again, head over to Instagram, send me a DM, let's chat about it. Next thing I want to talk about is that people who are confident are not afraid to show their weaknesses. I have weaknesses. I have weaknesses all the time. What's funny is I was listening back to some of my podcasts and I say right a lot after like a sentence. I'll be like, oh, you know what I'm saying, right? So I'm like, oh God, I need to work on my speech. Speech is not, I would say, something that I'm great at. I mean, I'm good at it, but by all means, I wouldn't say that I'm great. So limiting my, right at the end of a sentence is something that I'm going to be working on. Another thing, I am terrible when it comes to like structure. I'm a big thinker. I'm a dreamer. I'm a doer. So when it comes down to like details and like structure and coloring inside the lines, I suck at it. I like get overwhelmed. I get stressed out and I'm like, gah, this sucks. I hate this, and then like cleaning my house. Like I suck at cleaning my house. And I used to really suck at sharing my emotions. Like one of the things that I sucked at was speaking my truth. But there's two different ways that you can embrace your weaknesses. Another thing that I don't enjoy doing is email marketing, or just emails in general. Like I just hate emails. I'll let them pile up forever. So I have somebody that will help me with emails, because that's not like my zone of genius. That would be a weak area of my business. And so I have somebody to help me with that. And there's two different ways that you can work on your weakness. You can either delegate tasks or have somebody help you with whatever it is that you're not good at, or you can really work on your weakness until you make it a strength. So for example, you guys, I talk about push-ups a lot. It's those mental push-ups. So for example, if I wanted to learn more about, I don't know, we'll just use push-ups. If I want to do 100 push-ups, because push-ups are not my strength, they are my weakness, I would start practicing push-ups every single day until I got to a point where I could do 100 push-ups and not, it not be my weakness. So again, there's two different types of weaknesses. There's weaknesses that you can delegate to other people because you don't want to spend time worrying or doing it. Or there's the weaknesses that you want to make your strength, and you make those your strength by practicing them daily. The next thing I want to talk about is not being afraid to fail. There's so many people who have a massive fear of failure. Massive fear of failure. What happens if things don't work out? What happens if that happens? What happens if that happens? So what? Who cares? Nobody cares. I used to get so hung up on fear of failure. I'm like, man, what if this doesn't work out? What if I do this and this is a bomb? Like, what if I do this and this totally just flops? And the truth is, like, nobody else is so wrapped up in your world that they're even going to notice. I hate the way that sounds, but it's true. Like my neighbors across the street don't give a shit what I'm doing right now. They don't care. So why does it matter? Like, I'm just going to go out there, do the best I can with what I have, and not be afraid to fail. And if you do fail, you have two options. Recognize the fail, figure out a way that you can improve, and go at it again. Or if it's not for you, that's fine. It's water under the bridge. Move on to something else, and don't waste any time or energy overthinking about your failure. Just figure out what went well, what didn't go so well, and how you can move on. I also like to think of yourself as, a toddler in this area, like fear of failure. You would never say to a 1-year-old who is, or a baby who is trying to crawl or trying to walk, if they fell because they didn't get it the first time, you wouldn't be like, ha ha, you suck, stay down, what a failure. You would encourage them to get back up and keep trying. So I want you to try that. Try encouraging yourself instead of ridiculing yourself, instead of criticizing yourself and telling yourself how bad you suck. Just say, hey, I got this. This didn't work out. That's okay. I'm going to go at it again. And this is where a community or like a tribe or accountability partners, a support team really comes in handy, because we can start to spiral very, very quickly. I did. There'd been times I would think of worst case scenario, and before you know it, the whole world is coming to an end because I couldn't do this one thing. I was very, very dramatic. I'd literally sometimes just be kicking and screaming on the floor saying my life is over because of one stupid thing. But if you have somebody to bring you back to reality saying hey, in the grand scheme of things, is this really that big of a deal? And the answer is probably no. So it's nice to have those people to call you out on your bullshit that are just hey, it's not the end of the world if that person said no. It's not the end of the world if that person didn't open your email. It's not the end of the world if you didn't get your workout in today. It's not the end of the world if you ate a frickin' donut for breakfast. Don't ruin your entire future because of one incident. Every day you have a choice. And I choose to get back up and keep going no matter how pretty or ugly it is. Really, this is a beautiful mess. That is what this is. That is what I have created. I just started going for it and creating things along the way. No way, shape, or form am I perfect, nor do I ever plan to be, nor do I ever want to be. How boring would that be if we were all perfect? We just walk around and be oh, everybody's perfect. Oh, everybody's perfect. We'd just be a bunch of sheep. You know, there's beauty in contrast. And being able to navigate that contrast is beauty within itself, but it also helps you gain confidence. When you're like, okay, this didn't go well, that's okay. That's just contrast. This is how I can adjust, course correct, and move forward. It is okay to fail. We all fail. Look at anybody around you. Start reading books. Anyone who has some level of success or credibility or I don't know, whatever the hell it is that you're seeking for or seeking, they have failed in some way, shape, or form. Probably hundreds, if not thousands of times. But you only see them for their successes. You don't take into account the 500 plus times that they failed before they actually got it right. And so why are you going to give up on yourself if you fail a couple times? Get back up, keep going. I'll be your cheerleader over here. Actually, I'm going to challenge you, but you got this. You can do it. Get out of your own head, get out of your own way. Think less, do more. Next couple things I want to talk about before I wrap this up is not seeking approval from others. Going back to the loving yourself. So many of us seek approval or validation from others before we will go after a goal or a dream. I am super guilty of this. For a very long time, I was like, well, what if my husband doesn't approve? Like, what if he doesn't like this? What if my parents don't approve of me? And the truth is there was a long time where they didn't. Hell, I mean, there's still family members in my life that are like, don't recognize anything that it is that I'm doing. And I just decided that my mission and my message is bigger than anybody's validation, and that the only validation I ever need is validation from myself. It took me a while to get there, and it took a lot of heartache, a lot of heartbreak. God, I was so disappointed when I was like, why doesn't everybody get my goals and dreams? Like, why doesn't everybody want to support me? And the truth is that not everybody has the same goals and dreams as you. So how can they support you if they don't even know what it is that you're doing? They don't understand it. How can you expect them to support something that they don't understand or they don't value? So again, this is where that inner validation comes from. Like, it's okay to do things for you, to love yourself as who you are, love your goals, love your dreams, and then find a support team that has very similar goals and dreams to help support you. But you don't need anybody's permission. You don't need anybody's approval. You don't need anybody's validation to do the things you want to do. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you'll be. And I'm sure some of you are listening to this. Yeah, but what about this? What about that? Stop with the excuses. That's all I got to say. You're just feeding yourself bullshit. Stop feeding yourself bullshit. This was so hard for me to swallow because I was so wrapped up on my excuses. Like, and I guess I never really was like, my husband won't let me. Like, I just did things anyways. But I was really heartbroken when he wasn't super supportive in the beginning. I was like, man, I wish he cared more. And so the more we talked and the more we talked and the more we talked, I had finally found out that he just didn't know how to support me because he didn't want the same things that I wanted. So he's like, I want to, I just don't know how. So I just sit over here quietly telling you to do the things that you want to do and ask questions because I don't understand it. There's so many people in our lives that don't understand why we want to do the things we want to do, yet we want them to approve of them. And think how much pressure we're putting on those people to support us, validate us, approve of us, when they have no idea how to do it. God, wouldn't that feel like shit if somebody came over to you and was like, I want you to take me to the Olympics and you are going to be my coach. And you're like, what? I know nothing about skiing. And they're like, yep. But you're going to support me. You're going to be my biggest cheerleader. You're going to teach me all the things and tell me all the things. And you're just sitting there like, wow, this person's going to be very disappointed because I don't know how to support them. And I don't like skiing. And I don't even know what to tell them or what to do. And I really don't care about it. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? Try to find people who will support you that are within the same goals and dreams that you have. And then this brings me to my last thing before I bring this to a close. And that is not comparing yourself, that is not comparing yourself to others. There's two ways that this can go. One way is comparing yourself to others and feeling insignificant or feeling like crap or feeling like, oh my God, I'm not there yet. I wish I could be where they are. I should have done this years ago, blah, 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 blah. Or even looking at past images of yourself or the past experiences that you have done and comparing yourself to an old version of you and saying, oh, I wish I was that person again. I hate to break it to you, but you're never going to be that person ever again. Ever the past you're never going to be another person. You're never going to be me. You're never going to be your mom. You're never going to be your dad. You're only going to be you. So stop comparing yourself to others or stop comparing yourself to people who are farther along than you. You cannot compare your step 1 to somebody's step 1,000. I've said it before and I will say it again. You have to do the work just like everybody else. Everybody starts somewhere. It wasn't just one day I woke up and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like close to, well, what am I, 70 something episodes in now. I didn't just wake up and have 70 episodes. I started at 1. And now I'm here sharing this one with you. Just like people who work out. It's not like one day they woke up and they're like, man, I got this really nice body and all of a sudden my nutrition is totally under control. No, they started somewhere. They maybe started with counting calories. Maybe they started with eating whole foods. Maybe they just started by drinking the amount of water that they're supposed to in a day. Maybe they started with a 10-minute walk. Maybe they started with a 5-minute walk. We all start somewhere. I want you to focus on you, stay in your own lane, and the only time that you should ever look at other people is for inspiration. And use that for fuel to know that you can too do the same thing. You are your superpower though. Like the only person that you should compare yourself to like become better, I guess, is the person that you were yesterday. The only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. And I mean, just by taking like, words aren't coming to me today. Taking an inventory of what you did that day, what went well, what didn't go well, and how you can be better tomorrow. And then every now and then looking for others for inspiration. Like, oh man, like she did that. I want to do that too. Okay, these are some steps that I can take to do that. Instead of saying, oh God, I'm not there yet. Man, I must really suck. Use it for inspiration. Use it to light a fire under your ass to really make shit happen in your life. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. What is confidence to you? What does it mean to you? And again, if you want to check out the free masterclass, I go into a lot more detail on what confidence looks like in your personal life, what confidence looks like in your business life, some actual tools and resources for you to start implementing immediately into your life to gain more confidence. If you have any questions, send me a DM on Instagram. But if you want to sign up for that free replay of the masterclass, head on over to sashadavis.com/masterclass. Again, it's 100% free. It's about, 55 minutes long. I teach for like a half hour, 40 minutes. And then I do a Q&A kind of at the end, asking a few people their questions and experiences and things like that. You don't have to listen to it all, but there is a lot of good information in there. So head on over, sashadavis.com/masterclass. Catch the replay. All right, guys, enjoy your weekend. Go out there, be a badass, be confident, do something that scares you. I'll catch you next week.